when my son was 7, he told me our little neighbor was going to hell. I honestly, I'm telling you this because as you said it, it came back. I was dumbfounded.
Hell?
Yes.
That's huge.
I thought a 7-year-old child, you had no business knowing who was going to hell.
Heaven or heaven.
I was worried. I went to an Islamic school as a child. Then I went to a DDC University, just like your own school. Honestly, it was a cost. You know a DDC then?
Yes.
I didn't. My best friend was for Tubere,
I know.
Tolu. You know,
things were different.
Things were different. I never even had to worry about where they were from or whether they were going to hell or heaven.
Do you even know where they're from? The basic is
I told myself, look, I don't want to raise a child who, when he sees people, is deciding whether they are going to hell or heaven. And I remember I told him, how do you know he's going to hell? And he said, because he's not Muslim. And I said, okay. So do you think you're going to hell or paradise? He said, he's going to paradise. I said, do you know it's your actions that will take you to hell or paradise?
It's not the religion. And
I realized at that point, perhaps unconsciously, I had not exposed my child to the secular country we're in. And I felt it was on me. And it was my job to make sure my child understood that he could have friends everywhere.
Yeah.
And I changed my child's school.
Yes.
And I took him to a secular school.
Very good.
Where his best friend became Yodu.
Very good.
And then Jerry. And I remember I told my son something. I said, look, I need you to understand that people are people.
Yeah.
I want you to be friends with people not because of where they worship or where they are from, but because of this. And I did this. Their heart, the kind of people they are. Good people. Judge a person by his character, not by his deen and not by his ethnicity.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was so. I shared. I never knew what this conversation was coming, but even when I speak about it, I just feel it. Because I was so afraid that I would raise a child.
At 7.
At that age.
Yeah.
But you see, this is the thing about society. But over time, in that same new school I took my child, there was a parent who didn't want my son to be friends with him. So you see, it's not a cultural thing. It's not a religion, it's a people thing.
It's a people.
My child borrowed him a book, and then the parent came to the school.
I saw the name.
And he said all these demonic things. It was a normal book, a scholastic book about amphibians. You know, my children love werewolf. All the stories about werewolf.
Okay, I get it.
That it was demonic. You understand? But you see, and that's. I didn't take it personal because you see, people think a certain way because of their upbringing, environment, and significant emotional events that have happened to them.
You see what you said. Let me buttress what you said. When I was growing up, I was Equa, and I had friends who were Catholic. We're all Christians. When you want to go to hell or heaven, the question is: Are you Catholic or are you Protestant? It's not going to come up. And some of my friends' parents didn't want their kids to be my friends because I was Equa.
Wow.
When I was growing up, and I didn't understand. But now I just realize it's worse. A Catholic is condemning me because I'm Protestant, and we're all Christians. And you see, most of these things, it just didn't happen. Most of this thing is from the home. And this is why I say that, unfortunately for us again, the social media has taken over our kids. So most of the time you can't really blame parents as well. I'm telling you, because when a parent talks, the kids say that's not what Google said. That's not what Google says.
That's a good one.
So you see, most of the time now it's the parents really don't even have time to train their kids. They're working. But you see, my advice for parents, especially mothers, it's what you teach your children. It's what they see in that environment. That is what they're going to do outside. Many men who beat their wives saw their fathers beating their mothers because a friend told me something. Why is my wife complaining all over the place? My mother didn't die. So he will keep beating his wife.
But I always think that if something happened, how did that friend, take it when he saw his mother being beaten?
He was just okay.
If something happens to me and I don't like it, growing up, when I grow up, I don't want to do the same to
everybody. No, he doesn't think that is wrong.
Hang on, let me tell you something that I experienced. I recall a guy I knew who told me how his mother, because he happened to mention that his parents were not together. So one day I just had the audacity to ask why. And he said, well, what happened was that his dad was the wife beating type. And that he recalls the father would go out, get drunk, come home and do that. And that he recalled vividly the night his mother moved out of, she had been enduring it for years. But the night the mother
Moved out.
resolved to move out, this man beat her so bad that she lost control of her bowels.
Wow.
I don't want to use.
I know.
So she soiled herself. It was that bad, the beating was. And so she moved out. But this same person would sit down and talk about how if you want a woman to love you, you beat her regularly.
Baggers.
It doesn't make sense.
It's the mind.
It doesn't make sense
It's
because
the mind.
he
Yeah.
saw his mother
Mother.
That's the power.
move
Yes.
out of harm's way.
But
Let me
Not
explain
because
something to
she
you.
wasn't
Yeah,
even wealthy enough. She didn't have money.
But
She
she did.
moved from there into, he wasn't rich and she moved into worse conditions. But this same person's philosophy is, if you want a woman to really love you, beat her regularly.
he learned.
How does
That's
that
what I
work?
said.
That's how the mind works.
How
That's
does
how
that
the-
work?
See, I'm
No,
sure
He got used to it.
Yes.
Children that saw that
Yes.
he hated his father for it.
Yes.
And maybe at that time he vowed, I will never
Never.
hit a woman. But you see the power of the subconscious mind.
Yes.
That is how the patterning works.
Yeah.
Over years, he has seen it as a way to put things in order and keep things under control.
True.
He may unlearn it.
And say he's in charge.
Yes, I know he may unlearn it and try
Yeah.
not to do it. But
But-
his default will be to beat somebody to
That's
order.
it.
That's how the mind works. You have to